Hi, my name is Sherry Hatfield, and I help people in chronic pain to thrive by reducing their pain, depression, and exhaustion so they can take back the freedom to fully enjoy their hobbies, their careers, and their relationships. Well, what I want to talk to you about today is what I feel like are the root causes of chronic pain. Now, chronic pain, as we've talked about before, it's very complicated. The injury can be complicated, the illness that sets it off can be complicated, and a lot of aspects of what's happening in your life at the time can be complicated. But for the root cause of making one person more primed for chronic pain or chronic illness, I think this is it. And I also feel like this is the part that we can fix that helps you move through and significantly reduce your chronic pain. So it's just profound. All right, so I'm going to go over just briefly the outline of what I feel like causes chronic pain and where to go deal with at the root cause to fix it. And then my next, 4 or 5 videos are going to be going in depth on each one. Trauma, limiting beliefs, long-term memories, and then the big event. But today I just want you to see how they relate to each other. Otherwise, my video is going to be 40 minutes, and that's a lot. So, trauma and limiting beliefs. These are the inputs that I feel like cause chronic pain. And they set a person up to be so primed for it. And I'm talking about childhood trauma and the limiting beliefs that you form as a child. So let's talk first about trauma. Trauma, by definition, is like a surprise or unexpected event that happens in your life, and you feel physically or emotionally threatened. Your body feels like you're threatened, and you don't have either the capacity or the knowledge or the resources to defend yourself or fight back, so you feel helpless. Okay, so that's trauma, and I'm going to go in more detail on that in the next video, but I do want to say that it was surprising to me how many things constitute childhood trauma. I thought it was much more like sexual abuse, severe neglect, those type of things, really witnessing severe violence, but it's so much more than that. All right, so having childhood trauma. Second thing is limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are, your belief system is what you go through life with. It's what motivates you, it's what forms your decision-making process, what you place value on and don't, because it's what you believe. You believe it's true. The interesting thing about it is you didn't develop your belief system. Your belief system, the majority of the time, is handed to you and developed from ages 0 to 6 to 11, based on things that people that you value and trust in your life have said and done around you repeatedly in your life. And that could be parents, coaches, if you're active in a religious community, someone there like a priest or something, siblings, neighbors, friends, and it forms what you believe to be true, and you operate from there. And so those can be statements like, and everyone has these, statements like, it's hard to make money. Most people who are wealthy are jerks. Most people who make a lot of money are greedy. Those kinds of comments can have a really profound impact on you, because you hear this from 0 to 6, and you hear it multiple times from several people that mean a lot to you. And it can be from one person one time. It's just how you processed it at the time, that you believed that to be a truth because you believe that person. So that forms your belief system going forward. So now let's take that one. You go interview at a new job or go in for a raise at your company. Think what kind of impact it has on you. if you believe that making more money is hard and that people who make a lot of money are jerks or greedy, people don't like them, it has such an impact on you. There's such a conflict of wanting more and feeling like maybe you don't deserve more, or you don't want to fall in that category that the people in your family and friends will feel that way. Like, did you move into being a jerk because you got a raise? Like, where's the line at? So those type of statements, and it can be so many different things. It can go the opposite way. It can be a relative who constantly tells you you're the smartest person in the room, always. There's nobody that can hold a candle to your intellect. I mean, what do you think that does to a kid as far as wanting to learn or feeling like learning is interesting? Because for them, they're already the smartest person in every room. And what an attitude and way to go through life. So those are limiting beliefs, and they can be very disruptive. And everyone has them, and you rarely stand up to them or think about them or challenge them because you've had them since you were so tiny. But again, you make those beliefs and commit to them when you're age 0 to 6, not your most developed logic capacity at that point. And that's what you move forward with. So doing work that helps with these two is incredible. It's work that's with your subconscious mind, and you get just profound results, awesome results. Okay, so we have trauma and limiting beliefs. And then this LTM, this is supposed to represent like a snapshot or a Polaroid, and LTM is a long-term memory. So long-term memories are snapshots of highly emotional events in your life, and you have a lot of them. So for every trauma that you went through, it's likely that you're going to have a long-term memory snapshot. And what's interesting about long-term memories is your mind takes a snapshot of that moment. So let's say, for example, you're in a car wreck as a young person. So that's a trauma. You're in a car wreck, and the snapshot that your mind takes and makes a long-term memory of will be the car wreck, obviously. But it will also, your brain will associate with that car wreck other things such as the horns, the brakes screeching, the smell of smoke, crying, possibly just being in a car, those types of things. But let's go with horns, brakes screeching, smoke, crying. So every time or any time that, and there are people, let me say, that go through the same events and they process it without any problem. It didn't mean the same thing to them. Their system didn't react the same way. They had a different belief system. And so that same event would not impact them. Other events might impact them. So you're in a car wreck, and now you go forward, and if you are walking along and hear a bunch of horns honking, it will take you right back to the long-term memory. And attached to the long-term memory, supporting it, are neuropathways that take you right back to the emotion and the chemical release of that trauma, of that long-term memory. So a car wreck may do that to you. Hearing horns may do that to you. Brake screeching may do that to you. Smoke, the smell of smoke may do that to you. Particularly like the smell of tires having gone on the pavement, that smoke. And then crying may do that to you. Well, if it's the car wreck, it makes more sense to you. If you see a car wreck and you get sweaty palms, or, oh God, I remember that. That wasn't fun at all, and it was expensive, and so-and-so got hurt, or whatever. But if horns get honked, it may not make the connection to you, oh, that's associated with the car wreck. Instead, you just go to the triggering of that same emotion and that same chemical release. and it's called triggering. So horns can do that to you, breaks, screeching, smoke, crying. So for all the traumas that you went through in childhood, and for many limiting beliefs, you'll have long-term memories, lots of them, that can cause you to do triggering for a variety of reasons that may not be clear to you at the moment, because they're things your brain associated with the trauma or with the limiting belief. So what this does is it reinforces the neural pathways that every time you hear horns, this is what happens. So that's when you get a triggering loop. You hear a horn, you have the long-term memory release. And this becomes a learned manner of behavior that just happens. Well, if this is happening for horns, for brakes screeching, for smoke, for crying, for car wrecks, and that's one trauma, and you've had several traumas in your life, and let's say you have 3 to 5 things that trigger for that, according to how frequently those kinds of things happen, you could just be getting set off and getting chemical dumps that don't make sense to you. And we're going to talk about that more in long-term memories. All right, so you can see how this is happening, and for all the long-term memories you have, it's happening all over the place. So that's priming you chemically, and for things that you've been through in your life and beliefs that you have. And then you have a big event happen. And by this I'm talking about whatever illness caused your chronic pain, whatever injury went on and healed but the chronic pain stayed on, or the event itself. The big event can actually be an event. It doesn't have to be an illness. It doesn't have to be an injury. And those are particularly confusing sometimes for people because they get left in chronic pain and they don't have anything that they associate it back to. They didn't get hit by a car, or they didn't have a severe illness, and then we're left with the pain. So that can be really tricky. But for an event, let's think about if you've gone for a job interview and the individual that you interview with reminds you of someone from your childhood who was very oppressive and angry and unkind to you. Again, you may not get the trigger from that automatically, but there can be 2 or 3 or 4 attributes that your mind has associated with that personality that you'll get triggered with your new boss constantly, and you don't understand it. You get anxious or you get angry, you get fight or flight happening. Every time you get one of these loops we were talking about, you go into fight or flight. Every time when you have a big event like this, massive illness, massive injury, or event, often this leaves you brewing to go into fight or flight. So that's it. I'm going to do, as I said, videos on trauma, limiting beliefs, long-term memories, and the big event to go into a little more depth with it. But to introduce it, I just wanted to cover this. Thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Just leave me a note in the comments. And there will also be a link there to sign up for Strategy Call if that's something that you're interested in. Have a good day, and I look forward to talking to you.